are my top tips for conference presenting? Stick around, let's talk about it today on this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is your buddy and personal academic mentor, Dr. Jay Singh, coming at you to be able to discuss my top tips for conference presenting. It doesn't matter if you're an undergrad, a grad student, postdoctoral fellow, junior faculty, all the way through to senior faculty, or even if you're a member of industry. Going to academic and clinical conferences is the name of the game when it comes to networking, as well as getting your work out there. If you're interested in learning how to be able to step-by-step and sentence-by-sentence craft amazing conference paper and poster proposals and get every template you could conceivably think of for being able to create amazing conference posters, just go down here to publicationacademy.com. For one low monthly fee, you can go ahead and become a member and get access to over 50 hours of my trainings, as well as over 150 hours of additional training. It is amazing. Best thing on the internet when it comes to academic careers, so be sure to be able to check it out. All right. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my top tips for giving presentations at these conferences. You're there. Your proposal got accepted. Congratulations. It's a big deal. Now you're there. I want you to crush it. I want you to crush it and spend as much time as you can getting to know other individuals who are at your level, mentor those below you, and connect with those above you. It is absolutely critical. So tip number one is to plan ahead. That is it. Before you start preparing even your presentation materials, it is crucial to understand the purpose of the conference, read the mission statement of the underlying organization, make sure that you read if there's any presentation guidelines, what is expected of you as a speaker. Make sure that you're aware of also the conference theme, as well as the format, and also the audience you're going to be presenting to. I've gone to conferences where the people that I'm talking to are all administrators. I've gone to other ones where they're all kind of lower level clinicians, kind of starting entry level clinicians, because I'm a psychologist, right? I've also gone to other ones where they're policymakers, or literally I've gone and presented at community town halls where it's just lay members of the community. And obviously the level at which I'm presenting, how I'm communicating, and the jargon that I'm using or not using in some cases, all of this is very important to know, all right? Knowing those details, it's really gonna help you determine what information to include in the presentation and how to be able to tailor it appropriately, all right? Tip number two is that once you have a clear understanding of the conference, it's time to start preparing your presentation materials. And it's important that you get started as early as you can doing that, because then you have the most amount of time to be able to get feedback from people that you know, like, and trust, whether they're in your program or whether they're external, okay? Choose the most relevant information to include in your presentation, organize it in a clear and concise manner, and then consider using stuff like visual aids, like slides. For the love of God, when it comes to animations, only use fade animations. If I see one zoom or twirly animation, I will fly to that conference and I'll smack you in the head. Swear to God, I will do it, all right? Use graphs, any kind of figure really, anytime a table or figure, but sparingly, all right? Visual aids are very important. Sometimes you want to include a brief video depending on the nature of the methodology you used to be able to do your study. But at the end of the day, just make sure that your presentation is easy to follow. Don't make it too complicated. And at the same time, don't stay too 10,000 foot, or otherwise it won't be actually practically useful to the audience members, all right? To be honest with you though, it's usually overloading it with too much information, so try not to do that. Because remember, the goal is to communicate your ideas and research effectively to the audience, whoever that is. Okay, that's tip number two. Tip number three, practice, practice, practice. Not exactly a shockaroonie on this one. Practice is key to a successful presentation. Rehearse your presentation several times to get comfortable with the material and feel confident while speaking. This is also going to help you identify any areas where you may need to improve, okay? During your practice runs, just pay attention to not just what you're saying, so your tone, your pace, your jargon, but also your nonverbals, right? We got three channels of nonverbal behavior, all right? So we've got our gestural affect, we've got our facial affect, and we've also got our intonation, all right? So make sure that you're speaking clearly, you're engaging with the audience, and make sure that, if you're interested in stuff like mastering nonverbal communication in the workplace, again, Publication Academy, I teach that module, we've got you covered on it. These are hours of training, everything is evidence-based. Just sign up, it's amazing, all right? So, it's number three. Tip number four, engage with the audience. During the presentation, it's important to engage with your audience. Sometimes people get really nervous and, let's say I'm looking at you guys right now, obviously, right? But, people kind of like look over people's heads because they're so darn nervous. They do the predator, right? Or the Terminator, and they're just looking over everybody, right? It's not really helpful, to be honest with you. You gotta make eye contact if you can. I use something that I call the bounce method, which I'm looking at this person, then I'm looking at this person, going over here, going over there, but I'm making eye contact with people. Makes me a little less nervous, all right? Presenting in front of crowds is something that I really love. If you ever want me to come and speak to your class or come and speak at your university or to your program, I'd love to do that. You guys can always contact me, which is just Jay Singh, my full name, at publicationacademy.com, all right? But just be mindful of all these things. I want you to also encourage interaction by, asking questions, taking a poll, right, and these sorts of things. Allow, if it's possible, for breakout discussions and these sorts of things. This is going to help keep your audience interested and engaged in that presentation. So also give them an opportunity to ask questions, especially at the very end. You can always say, if somebody raises their hand, I'm going to take questions at the end, but you'll be the first one. Thank you so much, right? This, to me, is the best way to handle it. If it's something where the people who went before you, let's say you're not the first person to present during a symposium, this is cool, or during a panel session, this is cool, right? Just do whatever everybody before you did. If everybody before was just answering questions and then you're just like, oh, wait till the end, you come across as a bit of a dick, right? So it's important to be able to just get ahead of all of this, all right? And a key thing here is that, you really want to clarify any points that they may not have understood. And of course, if they have additional questions that you don't know the answers to, you can either say, I believe that this would be the resource where you would find that, or you can always say, please give me your email afterwards, or I'll give you my card so you can contact me. I'm going to get the answer for you. I'm going to send it to you. That's always the best. Just admit that you don't know the answer to something. People have a lot of respect for that. Okay. So last but not least, tip number 5 is to be flexible. It's important to be flexible during your presentation. Be open to feedback, be open to constructive criticism, be prepared to adjust your presentation as you may need. The conference isn't always going to go how you planned. I mean, it certainly hasn't for me. And so it's important to be ready to improvise if it's necessary. Just remember, the goal is to communicate your ideas and research effectively, like I mentioned before. All right. So be willing to make changes to ensure that you're doing just that. All right. So there you have it. 5 important tips for presenting at a research conference. Remember, planning ahead, preparation, practice, engagement, being flexible. All the 5 keys to being able to give a successful presentation. I hope that these tips are going to help you make the most out of your next conference presentation. Be sure, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, to do so. Smash that like button, share a link to this video on your favorite social media platform, and I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.